How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And I'm of the opinion that there are some things that, if done correctly, are honestly evergreen licenses. Meaning that no matter how old the property is, it can be used as a license for particularly for video games. And today's game, in my opinion, is an example of that. Well, the NES stuff is. Because of who held the license. And for two titles, Taito held the NES license for today's property. Or for the thing that today's game is about. And the first game was released in 1991, here in the States at least. The second was like 1994. It was a rental store exclusive, and because it was a rental store exclusive, it is the stuff of resale legend. So regardless of how many copies are out in the wild, this game is worth a lot in resale. At least the second game is. This one, the one we're going to talk about today, is pretty common. And that doesn't mean that it's not a good game, because it is. Today, we're going to take a look at the Flintstones, the Rescue of Dino and Hoppy. Now, today's Flintstones game, it starts with the Flintstones and the Rubbles hanging out with the great Gazoo for some reason. Gazoo is there, even though only Fred and Barney can see Gazoo. In terms of this game, I think only Fred can see Gazoo for some reason. It's weird, but that ain't my business. But a dude shows up from the future, from the 30th century, and he kidnaps Dino and Hoppy to put them in his zoo in Orbit City. And so, yeah, Fred has to go rescue Dino and Hoppy. Also in the process, he wrecks Gazoo's time machine, so Gazoo can't really help. You're basically helping Gazoo rebuild his time machine in the process, because every time you deal with this dude or deal with the boss, you get a piece of Gazoo's time machine. And so, yeah, this game, it doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's a standard platformer, but it's a Taito platformer. And Taito was good at platformers, particularly little cutesy mascot platformers like this one. And this is a solid video game. Doesn't reinvent the wheel, doesn't need to. It does what it needs to do. But the game ends with Fred running into George Jetson and ending up in the 30th century and fighting Dr. Butler. Now, say all that, and I mentioned him meeting George Jetson because 1987 we had Flintstones meet the Jetsons, that whole situation. But we also have had fan theories over the years about whether or not how the Flintstones and the Jetsons kind of relate. So there's a theory that the Flintstones is actually a post-apocalyptic future where dinosaurs come back and all this, that, and the other. There's also a theory that the Jetsons and the Flintstones coexist on the same planet. But the Jetsons, because of whatever was going on the surface, the people that live on that planet have elevated their homes and everything, and they exist high up in the air, whereas all the poor folk still exist on the surface. And the surface people have kind of developed this weird hybrid prehistoric modern 20th century tech. It's really weird, but it's Hanna-Barbera, so I don't care. It look, the theories are fun. This game is fun. I said all that to say, this is a fun video game. You should try it out. Yep. Now, if you decide you want to play Rescue of Dino and Hoppy, or you want to own a copy, this is the cheap Flintstones game. This one's affordable. You can get a copy of this one for like $25. That other one, go get a repro. This one, $25. You can get this one. This one's easy. And it's a fun game. I mean, $25 for a fun video game, you can't beat that with a bet. You heard me? So go and get yourself a copy of the Rescue of Dino and Hoppy. It's a fun video game. Get that in your life. This has been the 8-Bit Animal. And I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow, we take a look at a game based on a Sam Raimi movie. Yep, license was definitely inappropriate.